Welcome to the Divorce Angel podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Somerton. Attention business owners, senior managers and executives. Your successful separation begins right now. We have the answers to the questions you did not even think to ask. Let's face it, you're already successful in your career and we're here to help expand your knowledge and limit your costs by designing a strategy for your divorce. We take all that business knowledge you've acquired and we put it to work. With proven strategies, systems and processes, we've saved our clients tens of thousands in legal fees and helped define their future. And now we're doing the unthinkable. We're revealing the secrets the lawyers have tried to hide and giving you our formula for 5 steps to a seamless divorce. We're changing the world one divorce at a time, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm happy to be back with you here. It's Tanya Somerton. And hopefully you haven't had too bad of a week since we last spoke. I don't know, time seems to be flying since we're in this isolation, but it is what it is. I just find it funny. I wonder what's going to happen in years to come when people look back at this time in our lives and you know, just like we talk about the Great Depression and things like that back in the early 1900s, what are they going to say about how we coped in this situation? And hopefully things are getting better for you. Because it's hard enough, you know, really, it's hard enough just going through a divorce or going through a relationship breakup, but then to deal with this on top of it, seriously, it's next level. So you need to congratulate yourself. And I want you to understand what you're going through is okay. Whatever feelings you're feeling, just let it come out. You know, work with them because it's not normal times right now. It's not normal. So don't be upset at all with how you feel. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just go with the flow and we'll all get through this together. And just like your divorce, we're here to help you. Okay. So in this episode, I wanted to talk about why leaving a marriage is never easy. And anyone that ever says that it is, they are lying because it's just not. There's just so much to do. And divorce doesn't need to be as complicated, though, as what we make it. Now, that's the truth of the matter. We humans make it more complicated than it needs to be for many reasons. But in my 5 steps to a seamless divorce, I have sort of 3 pillars. And those 3 pillars have been worked around what I see as being the biggest issues in the divorce ecosystem. It's just not as simple as turning up to a lawyer. It just isn't. Lawyers want us to think that because then that's how they capitalize on our pain and everything else that we're feeling. But it's so much more than that. You know, we've got to have emotional support. We've got to have legal support. We've got to have financial support. And most of all, we need to have life support. We need to have someone that is there, people that we can, you know, talk to and know that what we're doing is right for us. Because the life support part of it is really about our future purpose and what is it that we want to do. Because whether you've decided to leave the marriage or your partner has said that it's not working for them anymore, or even just the two of you together have decided that it's time to move on, we need to think, what is our future going to look like? And it's that picture that we have in our mind's eye that's what keeps us going. It's what gets us up. It's what we plan for. It's what we're searching for in the unhappiness that was our marriage. It's interesting because it might not even be something that you can see. It might just be something that you feel. You might just have this feeling that there's something better out there. You might just have this feeling that you know that life was meant to be so much more than what you're living right now. And because of that, that's enough for you to know it's time to go, time to move on and to make life better. In my 5 steps to a seamless divorce, as I said, there's the 3 pillars. So there's the expert team, which certainly is the emotional support, legal support, financial support, and life support. But then there's the insight. You need to have the insight into what's going on when you are going through your divorce. And that's talk to someone that's had experience. Get some advice from someone that maybe can teach you what they did wrong. Now, this is the key. Whenever you're taking advice from someone, don't just listen to all of the positive. Make sure that you ask the questions around what, if you had your time again, what would you do differently? Because that's such a critical question. And ask yourself, is that something that you would ever ask someone? Because I know for me, years ago, I would only listen to, when someone was giving me advice, I would listen to all of the positive reasons. I really didn't want to listen to the negatives, but it's actually the negatives where we really learn the lessons that they would have done differently. So between their experience and their knowledge, that's what can really help you. But you also want to find out about proven results, and that's where definitely, how was your outcome? Now, the thing with divorce is interesting because it's not like a marathon, or let's say a race where you've got everyone at the starting line at the same time and the distance is the same length, and therefore who's the fastest or who's the slowest, because you've got certain KPIs or certain measurements in place to be able to work out who was the best. In a divorce, there's no certain criteria, and that's a problem when it comes to measuring someone's divorce. The thing that we like to do is always to make sure how much was our legal bill compared to the opposite side. It's always interesting to see the difference in legal bills. And I've said that before, we have been up to 60% on occasions cheaper than our client's partner because of the work that our clients put or do before they get involved with the lawyer. So because they're doing a lot of the pre-work or the homework or the running around, they've got their procedures in place. They know that mucking around is going to cost them money. They know if their lawyer rings them up every time they do and asks the question, it costs money. So let's have all of that stuff sorted out at the front end before we employ them. They're the things that we want to see when we're talking about proven results. And then we want structured thinking. So you think about it. Emotional thinking gets you nowhere. What is it that you want out of this relationship breakup? What do you want to achieve? Not only financially, but emotionally. And even as far as parenting agreements and things like that with your kids, have you thought through what you want? And the biggest thing is communication, because let's be honest, when you're going through a divorce, and this is what you hear me talk about all the time, the divorce ecosystem. Not only do you need to communicate with your team or the people that you're working with, but you also need to still be able to communicate with your ex-partner, or it could be your in-laws, or it could be other friends that used to be, in your family group. And it just never seems to be ending. There's always some issue, some fire that you're having to put out. And communication, sometimes, especially when you're tired, you're emotional, you've had enough, you don't know how much more you can take. When you are communicating under those criteria, communication skills are never, ever good. It's important to be able to understand how to communicate. What are the best ways to communicate? And the other thing is when not to communicate is one of the biggest things. When not to communicate, maybe because you might say something that you could ultimately regret, maybe that you haven't thought through a decision long enough and you really need to contemplate the consequences. Please, communication is just a key critical skill, and we all think that we've got it. We all think we can communicate, but I can tell you honestly through research that we've done, not only with our own clients, but just some research that some of the universities have done. If I was to say to you, look, here's 100 words, and I've put them together in a sentence and I've spoken them to you, because of how your mind works, you're not going to listen or be able to repeat those 100 words. What you're going to do, especially if you're emotional, you're going to take out the key words that resonate with what you are looking for. So it's a bit like that whole, when you go to buy a new car and you've never seen one before, but all of a sudden the road seems to be filled with the same model and color that you've just purchased. That's what happens when we're talking to someone. If we don't communicate in the appropriate way and you don't have the skills to be able to work through making sure that you're both on the same page, and whether that's with your ex or whether that's with the people that you're hiring, such as your lawyer, you need to make sure that you've got really good communication skills. Or you say, can you please repeat what I said to you, to make sure that it's really clear communication. And then the other part under this pillar is managing time effectively and making sure that you really are trying to get as much as you possibly can get done. And this, in a lot of cases, will come down to values and what your values are, because we'll always try and make sure that we do what suits us the best, even if it's not something, that we know we're not going to get a benefit from. We're going to do it because it's easy. It's just how humans are. It's what we do. So that comes under insight. And then the third pillar in our 5 steps to a seamless divorce is a deeper purpose. And all of these 3 things together combined are what will get you a good divorce outcome. When we go to pillar 3, which is deeper purpose, we're talking about peace, power, and prosperity. What is it that we want out of our life? How are we going to generate this peace that we're searching for? The power to make our own decisions and to make sure that our life is heading in the direction we want it to. And then the prosperity. And prosperity can be a number of things. It doesn't need to be wealth. It can be other things. Everyone is different. And we spoke before about values, and depending on your values will depend on what you really see as prosperity in your life. And then something really key is life alignment. Are you doing what it is that you really want to do with your life? And if not, how do you bring that all together? And community and support. Community and support. It's so important to make sure. We humans just love to be part of a bigger picture. We always want to make sure that we've got a community around us. And it's really important, if you're going through a divorce, that you've got people that you can trust on your side, that you know will have your back no matter what. Because it's a time of real reflection when you're going through a divorce. And so many people will say, and this has happened to me myself, you think your friends are your friends until something happens. And especially when you're going through this period in life, the people that you really thought were your friends will either disappear because they're not, or the people that you never really thought had your back will step up, and all of a sudden you realize that they were more of a friend than you actually thought they were. The other thing too with this pillar in the 5 steps to a seamless divorce is accessing intuition, because there's something inside of you, and I don't know, it doesn't need to be spiritual. I'm not talking woo-woo or anything like that. What I'm talking about is accessing your intuition and knowing when you're making a decision, even though your heart might be saying something else or your head might be saying something else, there's something inside of you that's telling you are making the right choices. That's accessing intuition. So for you to have a successful divorce or separation, it's like an onion. What we're doing is we're removing a layer of the onion. And the deeper you get inside of an onion, the softer and more juicier it becomes, and the outside's really dried up and like paper-like. What we're doing, we're removing that outside layer, and as we get deeper inside, we're getting to the nuts and bolts, to the flesh, to the really sweet part. And it's inside there that you're going to have the life that you really, really want to have. But to do it properly, you must have these 3 pillars in place. So if you're doing this by yourself, I want you to make sure that you're listening to me. You have the right expert team. You have the insight into what it is that you're wanting to achieve, that you've addressed your communication skills. You know about effective time usage. And then over and above that, that you've got a deeper purpose, that you know what your life alignment looks like, that you're accessing your intuition. Because together, when you bring all of those 3 pillars together, you will end up in such an amazing position. To say the word amazing while you're going through a divorce seems ridiculous, but I'm promising you, if you can address these pillars, that you will have a successful outcome. If you'd like to know more about the 5 steps to a seamless divorce, you can get onto my website and have a look. But go through, re-listen to this podcast, listen to the different areas that I've spoken about, and make sure that you do them yourself so that you can get a really successful outcome from your separation. Really, you're only getting one chance at this. Make sure that you get it right. We only have one life and we want to live it to the best that we possibly can. It does not need to be harrowing. It does not need to be terrible. And as I said at the start, the reason that divorce is so difficult is because we humans make it difficult. We need to streamline it. We need to know that there's a process behind it and get it done as easily as possible. So hopefully this has helped you. If there's anything I can do to help or support, please send me an email. I'm happy to have a chat and see what we can do. Okay, bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Divorce Angel podcast. Go behind the scenes of my business to learn the secrets no one else will share. Deep dive into the Divorce Angel process and listen to our most popular episodes over at tanyasummerton.com. If you love this episode of the podcast, do me a favour and head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review so we can reach more people and change more lives. That's all for now, and I'll catch up with you next week.